Well,
Okay.
well, welcome back.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Justin. So good to see you,
You as well.
even though we're still on Zoom, but we're only on Zoom now because we live in different cities.
Yes, it's not necessarily pandemic related, but
No,
I feel like, as many have always seen in the news, like they just Zoom people in all the time. Like half the time, people aren't actually on set with them anymore, or at least somebody is being zoomed in.
yeah,
Which just I think is an amazing way to showcase different perspectives, more like cost effectively probably, and just that like you can have more different kinds of people. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do this without it. We sort of left everybody with this trailer that we made, which was a call to action of sorts,
mhm.
looking for content. um as you can tell, there's been no content. So it wasn't for lack of trying, but we also we needed a break. Like it was we pushed ourselves a lot during that pandemic, and we did a lot.
We did, and we tried a number of things, and I think you said
Hmm.
it perfectly. We just decided to take a break because to be honest, we knew we wanted to continue doing the films,
Yes.
but other than beyond that, we were like, okay, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And
And rather than force it, we
yeah,
we kind of felt like letting it, like sometimes you'd have to let something go a little bit in order to like feel out where you'd like to go.
and I think we we've sort of come back, kind of almost full circle in that
Yeah.
we love to talk. We love to chat with each other, and we love to talk about many different things.
Hmm.
And so we decided, well, let's just get on and talk.
Yeah.
And then I had an idea the other day, which maybe we'll get into a little bit. Well, I'm just saying now. I mean, is to
Yeah,
have
go for it.
tell people stories,
Yeah.
and
Which is not unfamiliar from our other, attempts before, but I feel like I'll let you explain more of it, but this is a bit more personal stories, not as like not trying to be big and lofty. It's like more just everyday life that people are going through as queer people in the world and how they navigate that.
we have to be real. We have to be authentic. People have to relate
Yes.
to either to us or to what we're saying.
Hmm.
So, we're going to explore, finding people who we want to have on, and hopefully, I know we've tried this many times, that people will come to us and say, hey, we want to tell our story.
Yeah. And we'll seek it out too.
We can come at things with very different perspectives. Yours is the
Hmm.
younger, mine's the older.
We're both living different kind of schedules, and my life has definitely, in New York, gotten busier, and in terms of booking work, I'm a part of an ongoing campaign right now for a company called Good Skin, and what we're doing, I was hired as a model to basically go through a bit of their program of skin enhancement or reducing aging enhancement. I mean, I'm 34. I never really thought I would. I mean, if you had asked me even a year ago, maybe 2 years at the most, I would have for sure said no to something like this, because I never really thought I wanted to touch this face, because this face is also, as a model, how I make money, and as an actor, and especially as an actor, I don't want to lose the ability to emote. And I think we have a lot of misconceptions based in some truth about when people get any work done, not necessarily just plastic surgery, but like any sort of Botox or filler or all those sorts of things, even treatments on your face that would then cause you to not have as much expression. So when I auditioned for this thing, I very much said that in the audition, that I'm coming at it from this angle. And they've been trying to sort of capitalize on that part of the market. People who don't necessarily think this is something they ever would have done, but maybe are interested in a little bit of new skincare.
Up until recently,
Yeah.
it hasn't been something, what do you call it? Cosmetic work is not something that younger people have done.
No.
It's for people who are aging,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
and but this is, I know a lot of people, younger people who are getting Botox, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why do you need to get Botox? You look
Mhm.
perfectly. I mean, Botox was usually specifically for to get rid of the lines in your forehead and your
Yeah.
crow's feet,
Yeah.
and stuff, but there's a lot more younger people getting it as an older gay man, like, you know, you want to try and hang on to your youth. So you want to look
Mhm.
younger, especially when you're single.
Yeah. Our
Um,
standards of beauty are quite high.
right. But as a younger man, like, I don't understand why younger men are getting that. And then part two of this is, the whole thing about appearance. And
Mhm.
I believe our world, uh, particularly the gay world, has always been appearance oriented. So
So
let's go back to part one,
yeah,
about the
part
young.
one, why do people do this so early on? I think is an attempt to slow down the aging process, because if you get Botox at 65, those lines have been being created in your forehead from just existing and living and being in the sun and living your life, laughing, smiling, crying, all the things that we do that over time our skin is not as quick to recover. And so if you do less of that earlier on, I feel like that's why people do it earlier. Maybe that's why they can, that's like the justification in their head, so that it doesn't create as much, um I don't want to say damage. It's not damage. It's like a life lived. It's like your face
But
is your face.
why at all? Like, why do younger
Because
people?
how we
Why do
look is really a part of how we feel.
it should be, to me, it should be how you feel determines how you look. And if you
But
go by how you look determining how you feel, then you're going to be in trouble. Because at some point that you
so
are going to look older, and if you have a problem with being older, you're not going to feel very good.
absolutely, at the same time, to attempt to slow down the aging process is not a bad thing. And how you look when you look in the mirror at yourself is going to change how you feel. And although it would be lovely if nobody cared what they look like and just cared about how they feel, that isn't the world we live in. And in order to like move forward at all, we can't really just we can't I don't know if it helps to imagine what it could be like if it was the other way, unless we at least acknowledge where we're starting from, which is a world that is obsessed with image. So how do we change that?
We change that by not um perpetuating it, or by not being a part of that, you know, of that getting the work. Maybe in adding to that appearance thing, and this is very sensitive for me, our world is also very youth oriented. So at
Yes,
some point, it's like you can't stop this process.
absolutely.
And then what happens? And then you're like, you're just discarded because you know what? You're old. At some point, you have to accept that, no matter how much work you're going to do, you're going to get older.
The mindset of a younger generation is going to be different because they haven't lived through what you lived through, and that's part of what makes your perspective unique to you. The younger Gen Zs like do not understand shame and guilt in the same way that we do, for example. But back to the actual appearance, I mean, for me, it comes down to moderation, because it, you could do all the, and we've seen examples of this, people who go to the nth degree to look a certain way, and it just they will just always look like they tried really hard to look a certain way. But for me to criticize them on their journey, which I don't think we're criticizing, but we're being critical of the idea of doing work or not doing work. I guess I'm a little more, if that's if in the attempt of trying to look younger you think you might be happier, who am I to say you shouldn't do that? At the
But
same time,
okay,
it's a privilege, because
but
like the lots of the world doesn't even have access to this sort of stuff.
If they're doing it because they want to look better, because they think they're going to attract somebody into their life, or it's going to make their life happier, that's
Mhm.
what I have an issue with. You
But
know,
don't you think that that's going to be the journey that they need to experience then? Like they'll have to go through that moment of being like, oh, this didn't work the way I thought it was going to. Like, didn't you read oh gosh, what was the book called? The Science of the Mind or something? And they talked about, it was a plastic surgeon who talked about how certain people would go in thinking their life was going to be so different after they had this surgery. And for some, it was because it changed their mindset. But for others, it like they still had the old mindset, but just a new face. And they didn't, their life was worse.
I don't know. To me, I mean, it's what's missing here is the whole point of accepting who you are and what you look like.
Mhm.
And our
How do you
physical,
accept yourself where you are?
right. That's the question. I think that's what needs to be worked on, and not working on your physical appearance because you think that's going to, like I said, I can repeat myself, that it's going to make you happier.
Right, but is it not more, it's not just the mental. Like we know physical health matters, right?
Okay, yeah, I'm not talking physical health when it like working out and all that. Like there are people who work out and who have, want to get these beautiful bodies again because they're not happy with themselves. They want to attract people. If you're doing it because you want to feel better, then that's great.
And here's the nuance for me is the moderation. Like, if somebody gets liposuction on their love handles that they like have worked so hard, let's say they've worked out forever and they even got personal, like some people really have tried and they aren't able to do it. It might change a lot for them that like they do get that removed somehow. But you're also correct in your assessment that most, probably 70% of the reasons people are doing this are mostly to fix something that is more of a mental block than it is an actual physical thing.
It
Hmm.
starts with loving yourself and accepting yourself in the way you are. But we have created a, what do you call it? Not a culture or whatever,
Yeah.
that it's not it's about how you look. There are lessons here. And again, society is bombarding us with, you have to look this way, you have to look this way in order to be successful, in order to be happy. And what I want to tell people, and again, I'm living through this. I mean, I don't even I never take my shirt off on the beach because I
Hmm.
don't like the way I look. I know a lot of other people are like that, but then there are people who, like, they don't give a shit. And you see people all kinds of shapes and sizes and they don't care. And they're happy as shit. I think a lot of them, because they accept the way they look.
How do you think they got there?
I was going to ask you that question.
Hmm. I think part of it is just like biting the bullet and actually doing it and just being uncomfortable while you're
Mhm.
doing it enough times that you start to realize that nobody's watching,
Mhm.
that like most of the time. And I'll relate this to something that might make it a little easier for anybody who's listening. If you go to a dance class, half the time when you're learning the dance, you're like so concerned that everybody's watching you fail. But everybody else is trying to do the same thing. They're just trying to learn the dance. So nobody's actually watching you. And we think everybody's watching us, like screw up or look a certain way. And not to say that there aren't some people that are watching, many are watching, but their watching is only to assess where they are in comparison to this person. And if even if they see you, if we're going to use the beach example in this situation, like if somebody's like, wow, he's got love handles, like is he actually going to say that out loud? Probably not. And if he's thinking it, like that says more about him judging you than you and your love handles. Because if he's more concerned about your love handles, then like he's more concerned about somebody else's life rather than his own, for example. So at some point, we just have to go for it. at some point there has to be a recognition that what's more important is how I feel.
Exactly.
And what are the steps to feeling better about yourself for you, not for whatever expectations somebody else has set on you, even if you made that expectation up, because you walking to a beach and thinking everybody's looking at you is your own illusion, even if people actually are doing that. But the process of letting go of that illusion is only something that you can do. And yet society doesn't make it easy.
So
I mean, that's what I think where we as a community, the queer community, have an opportunity to show the world a different way of celebrating our brothers and sisters, our family members, our friends, and make it more about how that person makes you feel than what they look like.
exactly.
And I think we have some work to do in our community, but there are reasons that we got to where we are, let's say even for gay men as a particular, viewpoint that we come from within the queer community. Our looks are all we had at times. Like, we didn't want to share who we were because that was not going to be celebrated. So I think that might be part of why we as a community like spent more time and more effort in what we look like, because then people would maybe respect us more. I know for myself too, like I wanted to be the best at everything growing up, because then even if people found out I was gay, they'd be like, well, he's an amazing athlete and he's an amazing pianist and he can like they would care more about all of my success than that I was gay.
Coming from somebody that's older, my generation, we never had, well, there was, but there weren't like trans people, like
Mm.
non-binary, like like give me some more examples.
Gender queer,
Gender
gender
queer,
fluid,
and I'm thinking of one of your friends,
even drag queens.
one of your friends now who like dresses up as a woman, has got the beard and everything. It's like, it's so bizarre for me to see that, and yet I'm becoming more and more accepting of that, because it's about accepting. This is what we said from the beginning. It's about accepting who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how you look. It's how you,
Yeah.
if you want to dress up, if you want to act a certain way, or be who you are authentically, that's going to make you happy, man. That we should be encouraging that, and we should be,
Yes.
and it's all about, again, accepting who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and having society being okay with that, and that's the challenge,
Yeah.
you know.
I
uh,
I'll finish with this, which will lead us to many more topics and conversations on the next episodes. But I work at a queer gay bar in New York City called Industry Bar. If you're ever there, come say hi. It's quite popular. But I noticed in working there, Hell's Kitchen has a bit of a stereotype of being what you stereotypically think of gay men, like
mhm,
Fire Island gay men. And what I noticed in my experience of bartending and really expressing more of my feminine side than my masculine side while I'm in that environment, that I think we as gay men specifically, as soon as we express some femininity, it's like a trigger to being called a faggot or to be like a sissy. And so as a adult now, even being too feminine, like would, I think people are afraid if they're too feminine, they will not attract people. So
mhm.
they stay very masculine. And I've noticed in the bar, like people walk in and expect that. And then some of us as bartenders are a little more like, expressing the crazy um feminine side of ourselves, and that they're like strangely attracted to it but still afraid to express it themselves, because that they will lose the attention that they've been getting as a jock or as an attractive, like, sexy body guy.
I think people are more attracted to people who are themselves than people who are attractive. So when you're a really attractive person, other people can't relate to that because I'm not gonna, I can't be attractive like
Mm-hmm.
that. And so they don't often gravitate to those people.
Nope.
They gravitate to the people who are like crazy and fun and
Yep.
effeminate. People love it when people are different and when
Yep.
people are themselves.
Yeah.
So the lesson is, yeah, go do whatever you want. Like if you want to get work done, great. But do it because it's going to make you happy, not because you think it's going to attract other people. People are going to
Yeah.
be attracted to you because of who you are and because you're authentic.
And because of how you feel about yourself.
Exactly. And that will come out.
Absolutely. That always shines brighter than you
Oof.
being an attractive person. Like you're going to be attractive. And this is where we get to play with changing the meanings of these words, which is maybe complicated for our society because we have old meanings attached to like the word attraction, for example. But we can also start shifting that focus. Like the attraction is not about what it looks like, it's about being attracted to the feeling about being around someone rather than what they look like.
Yeah, it's what people put off. It's what they're, because
Mm-hmm.
when you don't give a shit of how you look and you feel good about yourself, people are going to pick up from that and they're going to be
Oh
able
yeah.
around you.
Well, thanks again for listening. Thanks for being patient and joining us again on this journey. We're not exactly sure where this is going to go, but we're a little more open to being upfront about all of that as we continue to build more on the Queer Network. We're not done. That's what we know.
Hopefully that, you all can relate to what we're going to talk about. And if it helps one person, um and puts them on the path to feeling better, then
That's that's why we do it.
that's all we can ask for. So,
Mm-hmm.
and also in the meantime, again, we want to highlight, queer people. So,
Yes.
maybe this time the ask will work,
Yeah.
but
Send
yeah,
your stories, or if you feel like you want to share something about your story, to queer@thequeernetwork.com. That's our email address. And
it's very easy to have you on because we just do Zoom. Doesn't matter
exactly.
where you are in the world, and
Exactly.
you know and we also want, I mean, part of our goal too is to travel with this and to talk to people, all over the world, and just
Mm-hmm.
get, just talk about the stuff that queer people deal with,
Yeah.
from a younger perspective, from an older perspective, and everything in between. So
Yeah.
yeah, so all right, my friends,
All
thanks
right.
everyone for watching, and we will see you soon.
And remember, keep it queer.
Keep it queer, everyone.
Mm-hmm. Bye.